Welcome, everybody, to another episode. Today, we have an incredible guest, and it's called NAPS, the famous letters, 4 letters. All right, here we go. Jamie and Trinette, what's going on?
How are you, Rich? Hey, Trinette.
Hey, brother. Good. So NAPS is in the house. We're going to break it down today because I tell you what, I got to tell you, there's so many associations out there, but this one is all about the people. So I tell you what, Jamie, let's just start with you, brother. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I've been in the staffing industry since 1993. What is that, like 30 years? So,
Holy cow.
and I've been a member of NAPS since 2007, I think. So going on, what is that, 15, 17 years or so?
Yeah.
And it's been really a great ride. Really have gotten a lot out of it, and like you said, it's all about the people. I've made some great friends, learned a lot along the way, and the networking has been fabulous for me.
Well, congrats on being the chairperson this year, brother. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
for your leadership, man.
Thank you.
And Trinette.
Hey, Rich. How are you? So
Good. So give us some feedback.
Sure. So just a little bit about me. I'm a little younger than Jamie, so I've only been in association management since I was 95. So yeah, he was 93. So I'm 95. I started in association management, and then I was hired to be the president of NAPS in 2010, 11, something around there. It's all a blur. But so I have worked with other associations in the past and other industries. But I have to say there is something very unique and just incredible about NAPS. So when I look at all the different associations I belong to, this is one where the energy is crazy, the education, the networking. I tell the board, Jamie, it does not feel like a job. It's just great to work with this industry and with this association. So it's about my story, Rich.
Nice. So you guys have been around since 1961. So let's break that down there, the vision, what you guys have first. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think unlike other associations, the primary focus for NAPS is professional development, right? It's education, that networking component, certification. It's all about improving. As an individual, that's at the forefront. Going back to 61, that's kind of where it started. Is while the legislative component is certainly important, that's not been the focus for NAPS. NAPS is much more focused on that professional development, and we do that in a few different ways. Obviously, our annual conference is a primary opportunity to for us to gather in person. But more and more, we know over the years that long distance learning is another way of spreading, our content. And we've got webinars and newsletters and a whole lot of content that we push out, which really is focused again around how to do our jobs better, both from the block and tackling type stuff that our trainers provide that information to what's happening from a legal perspective. We've got a whole credentialing component to NAPS where people can earn certifications in either direct hire placement or temporary staffing, and that kind of covers the whole legal aspect of the job we do. So that's an important component as well.
I love it. And I got to tell you what, let's throw this up here real quick. So who came up with this idea of the power naps? I mean, this is something that's big with NAPS, the webinars. Trinette, who came up with this idea?
It was a collective group. We've been doing the lunch. We used to call it Lunch and Learns. It was an hour. And we've been doing that, I think, since 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So we switched it this year. We rebranded it to Power Naps, where we're going to condense the information just to 30 minutes. But yeah, that's one of the benefits that we have of naps. And I know Jamie touched upon a lot of the other ones. But yeah, our Power Naps, we do probably one every 2 weeks. So it's just like snippet of information, really just to help the industry. And then what's really cool about this, one of the other benefits that Jamie had touched on briefly, is we do this, these webinars. They're also archived. So once you're a member, you can go and look at all of the different webinars. I think we're probably up to a couple hundred right now. So yeah.
Hey, I think this whole idea of Power Naps. Go ahead. I was just going to say that this whole idea of Power Naps, if you think about it, our industry recruiters, there's a lot of ADD, right? we focus on
yes.
We focus on something for a compressed amount of time. So I think Trinette and her team really hit home with this idea of Power Naps. 30 minutes is about all we can take at lunchtime when it comes to content.
Exactly.
You got that right. After 30 minutes, after about 25 minutes, I'm done. So I love that. And also, let's talk about the newsletter. I think every month there's a newsletter coming up, and it's not about staffing. It's about legal things, the economy. There's so much good stuff.
So yeah, we have a couple different newsletters, Rich. So we have the membership newsletter, and that's our monthly electronic newsletter. We have a quarterly legal newsletter. So one of the big components of NAPS are all the legalities in our industry. And that's something that's changing weekly, if not daily. So we have partnered with Littler and Mendelsohn. And so they supply our content for our legal newsletter. And they also are the ones who oversee the manual and the exam for our certification. So, and then we also have our certification credentialing newsletter as well. So one of the wonderful things about NAPS, and I think I don't know if we're going to touch upon this during this podcast, Rich, or another, but it's the professionalism of our industry. And what's really interesting is there's really nothing to prohibit anybody to say, oh, today I'm going to be a recruiter. So what this certification program does with NAPS, and we have a couple of different certifications. The most popular ones there's two of them, the CTS, and that's a certified temporary staffing, and then the CPC, the certified personnel consultant. So that lets our industry know that these individuals have taken the time to understand the legalities and all the federal laws impacting this industry. So when you see that designation after somebody's name, it just lets you know that they've made that investment in their industry and in their profession. So what we do is we have the credentialing newsletter, and that is also quarterly, such as with our legal one. And that just lets it's a refresher. It's kind of a primer to let everybody know these are the things that have changed or have been impacted since you potentially have taken your CPC or CTS. So that is good stuff.
There is a continuing education component to the credentialing, which I think it's important to note. Just like in other industries that have credentialing, you want to make sure that you stay current. And as Trinette mentioned, the laws are changing and evolving. And someone who sat for their credential 5 years ago, if they're not keeping up with the changes in the law, some of that content that they covered is obsolete. So it's important that we have this CEU component, and Littler does a great job in providing us with the changes and what we need to stay abreast of.
Mm-hmm. And Jamie, I want to say we're one of the oldest.
So I got to ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to say, okay, so other associations, this is something I really want to deep dive into. What makes you guys different? Because I know you're similar to a lot of the other ones I'm involved with, but what makes NAPS different?
So for me, it's I think that the accessibility to the other members when I attend the NAPS conference, it's not 8,000 attendees or 2,000 attendees of these big large trade shows. It's a much more intimate environment. 250, 300 attendees where there's an opportunity to network and build close relationships with individuals. I've got on my cell phone, cell phone chat groups of people I've met over the years where we check in with each other. So that camaraderie has really paid off. I've attended other industry conferences, and what I found is there's, for lack of a better way of putting it, a colder feel to them. It's not as intimate, not as warm, not as welcoming. And I think that's an important differentiator, because when I attend a conference, I'm not just there to sit in a classroom. I'm there to network. I'm there to develop relationships. I hold those relationships are incredibly valuable to me. So I'm looking for those opportunities. When Trinette does the conference agenda, she builds in some great networking time. The breakout sessions are set up so that in between there's a 30-minute break that allows people to interact. It's not just grab run to the bathroom, grab a glass of water, and then you're back in class. There's really time for us to interact with each other, including with the exhibitors. I do a lot of my fact finding when it comes to the different services and technologies I want to use. I do it at NAPS conference. So I could tell you, I just spoke with one of our sponsors of the 2024 conference, and he shared with me that NAPS is unique in that way. From his perspective, he found that it was a much greater opportunity to develop relationships with the right people at the right level, whether it's the individual contributors who are working on a desk or the owners and executives of the firm. They're much more accessible at our conference than he has found at other conferences. So.
No, I believe that 100%. And I've experienced it the last 3 years. It's like, you get to know everybody. At the end of the conference, you have everybody's name. You're connected with them on LinkedIn. It's totally different than other conferences at all. It's like a fraternity sorority. I got to tell you, we got some demographics here. I'm going to throw these up and we can go over these, Trinette, if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
So we can get them up there. But most of the time, a lot of the, here we go, right here. So break this down for me, guys.
Trinette, you want me to handle that, or you want to take a stab?
Sure. So what we do have on here, so when people think about NAPS, there's really, I would say, two large components. So of our organization. So we have the NAPS membership and then our conference. So I think when you just pulled that up, Rich, it said that the demographics of the two pretty much are very similar. So yes, so we have the 85% blended firms. So we have that. It's pretty representative in our membership as well as our conference demographics. To Jamie's point and to what you had mentioned, there are so many different associations out there. And NAPS, as president of NAPS, I work with all the other different associations like ASA, American Staffing Association, Tech Alliance, all those, SIA. We all get on the phone and we collaborate. And one of the unique things is I always knew that there was a difference between all of our organizations and associations. And so I think it's just finding really, for lack of a better phrase, your home. So we'll have people call, or I'll have people call me and they'll talk about wanting to exhibit or attend or speak. And we figure out a little bit more about them. And as much as president of NAPS, I would love to take their money. It's always about, is this the right place for you? Is this something you would consider home, something that you would always come back to? So that's why I think that we're different than a lot of the other associations. People have found their home. They're not lost here. So if you want to pull those up again, Rich, those demographics that you had. So 85% are the blended firms. So they do both temporary and then direct hire. What's interesting at our conference is we have the decision makers are there because most of our members and attendees are from the smaller firms, less than 25 people. Jamie, would you say that's
Yeah,
correct?
I'd say that's probably right. Yeah.
So it's great because you are not talking to the staff. You're actually, when you're an exhibitor, you are talking to the decision makers. I don't know, Rich, if you want to pull that one up again. I don't know if there's anything else that we have mentioned. We talked about being a smaller firm. Jamie, how about you from that side?
Yeah, and I would say that we lean towards professional placement. Even though most of us do staffing, temporary staffing as well as direct hire, it's predominantly professional. So IT or legal or certain financial services, as opposed to more the manufacturing light industrial that you might see in at ASA or some of the other larger conferences where that temp staffing is so that niche is so dominant in at those conferences. Not to say that those isn't represented, but it's just not. It tends not to be our focus. Our focus is much more on the professional side.
I love that, Jenny. But I also say that, and I think Trinette agrees with this, we're opening up to more staffing firms too. If you have a small niche, we want you.
Oh, 100%. It's and quite frankly, I think what we've learned as recruiters over the last several decades is that the recruiting, the nuts and bolts of recruiting, is the same in many ways, right? Whether you're recruiting a mid-career professional or that that entry level individual, a skilled labor in a manufacturing environment, or an interim, financial analyst. The technology, the tools we use to connect with our candidates are very similar. So, talent acquisition is talent acquisition in some level, and there's a lot of transferable tools and solutions that can permeate the industry regardless of your niche. I guess the point I'm making is when you scale up to a certain temp headcount, there are other factors that come into play, legislative factors, which we may not focus as much on as a firm who is in 50 states with hundreds, if not thousands, of employees spread out across the country. So.
Yep, totally agree. And I got to tell you, at the conference last year, the energy level, the expectations was incredible. I've been to like 7 different conferences last year, and I'm going to not lie, you guys were the most exciting. Like everybody was so in high spirits for 2024.
Yeah, I think it's, certainly the venue helps, right? When we have a conference in Vegas, it's gonna have a different look and feel than if we're in Florida or this year we're in Phoenix or Alexandria, Virginia. But in the end, it's the people, right? And conference attendees at NAPS, we bring it, right?
Exactly. Hey, Trinette, before we wrap it up, I definitely want to talk about this. It's, Women's History Month. Give a shout out to the women out there. But you guys are involved with a lot of different organizations, like you said.
Yes. So all of the associations that you have listed, SIA, Tech Serve Alliance, ASA, NAPS, we belong to a group based in Washington, D.C., and that's called the Women Business Collaborative. And within that WBC, we call it, there's different niches. And so we are in the staffing sector. So with that, we are a group of those 4 associations. We've worked collectively to do different surveys, different benchmarking surveys to talk about pay disparity, with pay inequity, board representation of women in staffing and recruiting, things of that nature. So yes, it's so it's so great to talk to other associations and figure out what they're doing with their DEI initiatives and what have you. So so with Women's History Month, the 4 groups, we all got together. We did a survey a couple weeks ago, and then what we had yesterday was a webinar just to kind of go over those findings and just shed some more light on some of those issues that are impacting every industry, not just our staffing and recruiting.
You know it. And we got a shout out here from Bruce. Look at this. So, I mean,
Hey, Bruce. Okay.
Bruce is in the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
But before, hey, it's always nice to have good people out there, supporting us. So final wraps. We'll go with Jamie first to wrap it up here. I mean, definitely we'd love to talk to you. So any final thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I would obviously I need to promote that our conference is coming up in November. I'm sorry, end of October in Phoenix, and definitely if you haven't already registered, you want to do so. Take advantage of our early pricing before that goes up. The other thing I would say is, if you're not following us, if you're not in LinkedIn on our following us on our company page. You definitely want to do that. There's an opportunity to stay abreast and see what's going on, and interact, engage, because that's really, for me, that's been incredibly valuable, and I strongly suggest, even I think Bruce just pointed that out, that hey, business owners, executives, they want to connect. It can be lonely at the top, right? And so this is an opportunity to make some industry friends and colleagues and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Love it. Go ahead, Trinette.
And thanks so much, Rich, for hosting us. I look forward to the next one. Maybe we can do a deeper dive into some of those things that we had talked about, such as the certification or conference. Just to elaborate on what Jamie had mentioned, our conference will be taking place October 27th through the 29th, and that's going to be at the Wigwam Resort in Litchfield Park, Arizona. And just kind of in closing, I know we're probably a little over our time, but I remember somebody always saying there's only one letter between networking and not working. And so come to the conference, do some networking, and if your listeners are wondering, I feel kind of alone on my island here. I'm not certain what I'm doing. I'm not familiar with everything. That's what associations are for. So, look at our website. I know you have it at the bottom, but it's naps360.org. Check us out. We have a lot of member benefits, and we hope that your listeners and your viewers will look at NAPS and come to the conclusion that this is their home. So, and we welcome you home.
Well said, Jeanette.
Hey, and everybody, sorry about the delay.
Rich, thank you.
We're online. Hey, you're welcome, buddy. But hey, sorry about the delay there. I think we had some storms going on, but that's what happens when you're online. You never know what's going to happen. If you guys get a chance, NAPS. That's a wrap for NAPS. Till next time. Take care, guys.
Thank you.